Here we go, guys. Good evening, everyone. We are now live. I'm guessing. Let's just refresh my um, Facebook page. Here we go. We are live once again as Gateway Church here in Kafili. And we are very excited once again to be here with you. And right to start, I want to ask you guys to interact with us as well by sending us some comments and some questions. And why not just say, hi, I'm here. Um, and as you guys know, I'm not here on my own. I have a big team working in the background, on the backstage to help this live to be a great success, really, for all of us. So let me just see who is with us at the moment. Um, my Facebook stopped for some point. Uh, but here we go. We have a very special topic for us this evening, something that I think all of us, you feel really part of and related to this topic, which is about the COVID-19 or coronavirus or pandemic, all these together. And I just want to invite our special, guests for this evening, people that are going to be helping me out throughout this evening. So if I have you guys with me, um, if you just turn your cameras on and your microphone, and then I can introduce you guys. We have Kate. Kate is, she's been here before, and she's so good that we invite her back again. And Mike as well, and Alan, and have Calvin with us as well. They all been before, but Chloe is the first time with us. So welcome, Chloe, to our live in Gateway. And thank you, guys. I'm going to be invite you later on to answer some of the questions and have a bit of discussion. Thank you for being part of this and taking part in this evening with us. See you guys later on. Thank you very much for joining us.
See you later.
See you. Just before we start with our first question, I just would like to take us back uh, for the past maybe 8 months or 9 months. Just a kind of recap, just a bit of a recap what happened, for the past 8 months in our lives. And I think back, in March, right at the end of March, something very unusual happened to all of us, which is the lockdown. That's right. I think was a time that really tough for all of us, something that none of us were expecting to be facing in 2020. Being away from our relatives, from our friends, and be stuck in the house with your families. And in one way, yeah, you can take something good out of it, spend more time with your family, but it was a very tough time for all of us to be, in isolation from everybody else. And with that, some very interesting things happen as well. And one of them was this. You may remember, can remember these, our friends, the toilet paper? Yeah, people went absolutely mad for them. Just know before the lockdown or during the lockdown, people know even fighting, to grab, some toilet paper. When would ever thought that people would give so much interest in have some toilet paper? And linking to that, something that happened as well was this. I'm not advertising Super Mario backpack. I'm just going to take us to the schools where our kids and our children literally didn't go to school for about almost over 3 months really, and you can say that right at the start, for many of the young people especially, they probably felt that's the best day of my life. No need to go to school. Brilliant, great news. But after a while, I think they all realized the importance of being in school, thinking about their future. And many of them, not being able to do, the GCSEs and A levels, and And if you're a parent and have small kids like me, kids are not in school now. I need to carry on with my job. Who is going to look after my kids? Or maybe a panicking and time for many of us, for all of us. Um, we also can remember something very special to all of us, which was about the clap for the NHS. Um, yes, was a very sad time because was a time that a lot of people losing their lives, a lot of people in the hospitals, but on another hand, was great to see the community and the country getting together and supporting each other and supporting our national health service. And I remember my kids looking forward to Tuesdays and Fridays, go outside and clap. And I think it was really important for this country to be supporting, our doctors and nurses at that time, and even today. Yeah, they're still working very, very hard today. Another thing that happened was this. I was looking forward to go back home with my family. That would be my first time being able to take the four of us to visit my family back in Brazil, but that didn't happen. And wasn't that wasn't just for me. I think it was for all of us. Holidays and all that became a bit of a nightmare. You will not be able or to go anywhere. And if we did, you didn't really have a proper holidays. And finally, I think is sport. I love sport and can remember the time that there was no sport at all in the tellies. And myself, used to play football twice a week with my friends. I wasn't able to do that either. And can you remember the Olympics? Supposed to happen this year, and the Euro football as well, and all that's been postponed until next year. So much happened, in the past 8 or 9 months in our lives. And that was just a little bit about how I felt, and some of the things that was they highlighted for me. But I want to invite, now Mikey and and Chloe and Alan, and just asking you guys really, how have you coped, at this time? It's been really tough for all of us, and you just saw me sharing some of the things that happened, but for each one of us, we have different highlights, don't we? So I just want to ask, start with Mikey first, and then gonna go with Chloe. Mikey, how have you, coped with this pandemic, season for all of us, mate?
Um, I think I've had quite a positive experience from it generally. I start of lockdown, all the takeaways stayed open, so I got my first job making pizzas at Papa John's. So yeah, earned quite a lot of money doing that. And yeah, school was cancelled, which was great for me. And exams were cancelled as well. So I just got handed three A's for doing pretty much nothing. And it was great. Um, yeah, it was for those like physical things is pretty good, but it obviously takes a toll on you like mentally. And I think I got into a bit of a mindset of not being because I didn't have any work to do. I just couldn't. The small things became really difficult for me. I think during the time. I think that may be something quite a lot of people might be able to relate with, really.
Yeah, yeah, it's been really weird time, if I can say like this, for all of us. But I think there is some positive, in this as well. Some lessons we can take, in this time. So, Chloe, how about you, lovely?
Yeah, I agree with Mikey, but I think for me, it's been definitely a mixture of emotions. Yeah, my fiance is a police officer, which meant that I wasn't able to see him for quite a few months at the beginning of lockdown. Um, but yeah, so that was obviously difficult. I've had times when I've been down, but generally I've found it quite good. I've been able to organize a lot of things. I've also been able to yeah, spend more time with God and just be able to have that quiet time that I wouldn't have normally been able to have in the busy world that we do live in. So it has been nice to have that bit of rest that I wouldn't have got otherwise. But yeah, I'm feeling a little bit fed up at the moment, but hopeful that things will, yeah, hopefully be getting better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chloe, for sharing. And it's been a season and a tough time, not just for young people, but with people with more experience, like Alan. Alan, how was this season for you, mate?
Well, I got to say, the first half, sort of March till I guess June, July, I did quite well, very well, in fact. I really enjoyed doing an awful lot of walking in that excellent weather that we had. We were doing at least 2 10-mile walks a day around the area here in Caerphilly, so we really enjoyed it. And also we met quite a lot of our neighbours, which we hadn't met before, and we had well, not quite street parties, but we were meeting outside to chat after the clapping, usually the NHS, and also I was really impressed by the creativity of the church, and the fact that lots of churches sort of got together to do stuff. So I mean, if you'd have asked me a year ago if the church couldn't meet at all, I would have thought, oh, probably fall apart. But we actually seem to have flourished. And, sort of in many ways, things are better on Zoom than they are live, I think. But so I've enjoyed that creativity and the fact that people have got over things. On the downside, very close to my grandchildren and my children, and they both live in England, my children and the 4 grandchildren. So I haven't seen them very much. My grandson's 3. And if you take out like a 9-month chunk of that, that's a big part of his life. My oldest grandchild is 7, and I know they miss us as well, and the 2 in between as well. So that's been the sad part really for me. So I've, but weighing it in the balance, and particularly the first half was really good. Second half's getting a bit fed up, a bit too much the same now. So that's me really.
That's great. I just can see here on Facebook, Alan, your wife Anne is there, and she's just saying, "I'm listening." So you just want to say hi, to few people here, like Ellen, Helen, and Doreen, Jane, Anna, Louise, and Gareth, Sophie, and Joanna. Thank you so much for joining us and being part with us this evening. Please leave your comments and your questions, and we would love to hear from you guys. Guys, thank you so much. I'm gonna hear from you guys later on. Thank you for joining us in our first question. We are live here right now on Facebook and also on YouTube. So please follow us and say hi. And once again, I ask you, give us some questions and send us some questions and some comments on that. How was this time for you? How have you coped at this time? It's been tough, so let us know. Just let us know. And I just can see, how about me? Roger Crooks just joined us. Hi Roger, great to see you here, my friend. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. We're going to move on to our next question. It's a very can I say it's a deep question, but it's a question that maybe a lot of you may be asking us Christians, and I want to invite Kelvin and Kate to help us to answer this question. How are you doing, guys? We good?
Yeah, we're great, thanks.
Very good. Here's the question that we had. How could a loving God allow this pandemic? How could this loving God that you Christians say so much allowed this pandemic? Kelvin, can you start with you first?
Sure, yeah, thanks, Raf, and hello to everybody. And I think you're absolutely right in your initial introduction there, that that is a very, very deep question. It's a very difficult question. And I guess it touches on a broader question of suffering in general, doesn't it? It's how can a God of love allow suffering? And certainly the pandemic has caused an awful lot of suffering. Suffering is a part of our general lives, not just in terms of COVID and the pandemic, but in general. It's something that we see all around us, and we've kind of learned to live with. And I guess my answer would perhaps come from a slightly different perspective, and that is to just say that God is not surprised by COVID or the pandemic or anything which comes our way, and that He's promised to be with us in our suffering. Let's be really clear. Certainly for me, anyway, there's nothing good about COVID-19 as a phenomenon. And some people have asked the question, perhaps turning your original question around, Raf, to be where is God in all of this? And Cardinal Timothy Dolan of New York said, God is right there in the middle of it. And I guess that's probably where I'd come from. He's there walking with us through it. And it's been an encouragement to me to see, Christians as well as others have got involved in the fight against the virus. And one in particular, there's a guy called Francis Collins. He's the director of the National Institute of Health, a huge research body funded by the United States Department of Health. And that project that he's on is researching a cure for COVID. And he said that his faith has been critical in providing the spiritual and mental reserves needed to face the challenge. He's running a $42 billion a year operation in terms of the fight against COVID. Yet he says the following: many times I've had to ask God for help. Prayer helps me a lot. Reading the Psalms has been critical. So for me, where is God in this? God is right there with us, walking through it all with us. And why He's allowed it, I guess for me, it probably He has, but He's provided His own resources to help us through.
Absolutely, Kevin. I see exactly the same. A lot of people say, in Christianity, God never promises an easy life. What He promised us that when things get tough, like the season that we are going right now, He would be with us and He would sustain us. That's the main important things in Christianity. But Kate, over to you. What else can you add on that, please?
Yeah, I think Kelvin's taken the deep answer, which is great for me. So I think for me, I don't think God had a choice to actually intervene and stop it. I think He has to allow these things to happen, which might seem a bit of a strange thing to say. But as a mum, I'm thinking of God as my father, and I think of my role as a parent. And I think that if God intervenes every time we as human beings mess up, then where does He stop? I mean, this pandemic is scientifically proven. We know that the virus itself has evolved from other viruses, and at some point there is the choices of mankind that have probably or likely caused this. And I think the spread of it is definitely due to choices that we have made as human beings, and there are consequences to our actions. And if as a parent you constantly kind of try and fix your child's problems, you try to step in every time they make a mistake, how does that child ever learn, and how do they ever grow? And I think that if God keeps intervening and stopping things, we as humankind will never learn. And so that's like the one perspective I thought about. But also I think God is amazing. He knows everything. There's no time frame for God. This isn't a little snapshot for Him. He's got this massive overarching picture of what is going on. And I just think that maybe He knows that the long-term effects of this pandemic will outweigh the short-term costs. And please don't think I'm belittling. I know that people have gone through huge loss. We've had unemployment, we've had anxiety and mental health issues, and I'm not belittling those at all. But I think in the long term, I wonder whether as a human race, we're going to see the benefits of this. I mean, we have already seen benefits. I think as humankind, we kind of come together, haven't we? We are all in this together. The saying of we're in the same sea, we're in different boats, yeah, everybody's in different circumstances. However, across the world, we're all dealing with this pandemic. We've become united as the human race. And I think also, as Kelvin's already said, God is with us in all of this. He's not looking down going, oh, the poor human race, yeah, they're really struggling. He's with us. He's with the NHS workers. He's with the grieving families. He's with the stressed out mum who's trying to homeschool her kids. He's with us in all of this. And even more than that, he's using all these circumstances for good. I mean, we've seen so many things. We've seen the world, the physical world, the environmental side of things healing, and we've seen people healing. We've seen communities come together. We've seen generosity that we just can't even imagine. We've seen people losing money. I'm getting emotional. People being furloughed and losing money to save people they don't even know. And I just think God knew that would happen, and he's bringing out the best in us. He's bringing out what he planted in us, that love and desire to be loving towards one another. And, you know, we've got to look at this as a positive, because how else are we going to get through it?
It's spot on, Kate. Thank you for sharing that. Very well said. And as you're saying that, we just had a comment from Ellen. Helen is watching us live right now, and she works for the NHS. And she says this season has challenged me of the idea of the church for better. So her idea of church changed, for better, as the way that she had before throughout this season. So first of all, I want to say thank you, Helen, for all you're doing for us with the NHS. I really appreciate, and we pray for you and your family, and thank you for being live with us today. Thank you, Kelvin, and thank you, Kate. We are going to ask you to join us later on once again, but thank you for now. You want to say a special thank you to Mason Martin. Mason is our new intern from USA. He's going to be spending, for the next 8 or 9 months with us here in Wales. And it's been great, to have him with us. And basically tomorrow, I think it's going to be the first time I'm going to be able to say hi to him face to face. We're going to have a meeting together to plan some things. But Mason, thank you so much for your courage and for having your open ears to God to come and support us and to help us and to be part of the team here in Wales. So hopefully you're going to be, and you are already, a blessing to us right now. Thank you, Mason. God bless you, brother. You're going to move on to another question. Once again, a very maybe deep question. I'll invite Alan and Chloe back again, please. And he is the question, guys. Are you ready? Are you ready, Chloe? Are you sure?
Yes, I'm ready. Yes.
Here we go. So here's the question, guys. Okay, so in the Old Testament, we know, about the flood, and that God sent to humanity and destroy a lot of people. So is this pandemic a punishment from God, like he did in the past? Can we affirm that God sent this pandemic to us like he sent the flood many years ago? So Alan, over to you, my brother.
Well, I mean, it's a big question, as you said, and I would say that one of the fundamentals of the human condition is to value freedom. And I believe that we have the freedom of choice. One of the fundamental things about being a Christian is the freedom to choose to follow Christ, to choose to live our lives following him, or not. We can equally have the choice not to follow him. And I think that in our society, again, we can follow Christ and Christ's way of doing things with ethics and morals and love and looking after one another and sharing together. And I know that sounds idealistic, but that's the, if you like, the standard that Christ wants us to live by. He wants us to be those loving, caring people who look after other people as well as ourselves. And so, if we choose, and I'm not blaming the Chinese, because this could have been anywhere anyone anywhere. But if we choose to have wet markets in Wuhan that for the last few years have generated things like bird flu, SARS, and all the other things, and we've sort of come close to a pandemic a few times, but we carried on doing it, irrespective of the consequences. And then one day the consequences hit us like they have this day, then I don't believe for a minute that that's God punishing us. I think that's God's been generous in that SARS and bird flu and all the other things that that were there, didn't come. We had the warnings, if you like, and our pilots that we ran to sort of check out our robustness to cope with it weren't heeded. So I would say that it's a consequence of the human condition of choice, and we've chosen to, we've almost chosen to go down this route. Really, I know it sounds sort of in a way, but in a way, I think it's our fault, and we've got to front up. We've made our choice, so it's not God at all, I don't think. Although, as Kate rightly said, God is in it with us. And he walks alongside us, and he helps us to get through these things. So that would be my answer.
Very good point, Alan. I think it's so easy sometimes to say that, when something bad happened, let's blame God. And I agree with you. A lot of the times, bad things happen because of us, the way we behave, the way we treat, our world, our planet, and then can affect, the whole world sometimes, and it has nothing to do with God. So, Chloe, what else can you add?
Yeah, a lot of good points. I think, very similarly, that God has given us all a choice, and that's the great thing about Christianity, that we have a choice to be free, and we can choose what we want to do. And I do believe that it is a man-made virus, so I don't believe that God put it on the earth to punish us at all. But yeah, like how I was saying earlier, that through this pandemic, I've been able to learn who Jesus is a bit more, and spend more time with Jesus. So I actually think that there's amazing opportunities that have come out of this. Like earlier we were saying about how church online has become a massive thing, and how we are able to reach people who we never thought we'd be able to reach. And yeah, people have now come into Christianity through the online services when they wouldn't have stepped foot in a church before. So I think there's lots of amazing things that are coming from this. But yeah, I'm not denying it is a difficult time for all of us. It is a horrible situation to be in, but I definitely believe that God is by our sides through all of this. And I definitely think that if we reach out to God, we'll all find out for ourselves that God's been there with us through all of this.
I think that's great, Chloe. And you said, the phrase that God is by our side. That's a very important, thing, a way to think, that God is by our side throughout this time. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us and help us to answer this question. And we are going to catch you guys later on. Thank you very much. Just before we move on to another question that someone's just sent to us, I want to say a big hello to Josh and Sophie. Thank you guys for joining us. I was being faithful and following us when you go live. I think that's been the third or fourth time, maybe. I don't know, the third maybe. And they always been there supporting us. Thank you, Sophie and Josh, for joining us this evening. Our next question is for Mikey and Kate, please. We are going to start with you, Mikey, and here's the question, guys. All right. Is this season about surviving or succeeding? Yeah. What can you say about that, Mikey?
Okay, so I think this answer will definitely vary for a lot of people, because a lot of people have very different mindsets about stuff like this. A lot of people really enjoy working hard, and they think, if they do lots and lots of things that that makes them feel better, and that's nothing wrong with that. That's great for lots of people, and for other people, I think it's a struggle to have that mindset, and sometimes all they want to do is just sit down and have a break. And I think that for a lot of us, even before coronavirus was ever like a household word, a lot of us just thought we'd really like a break. Just, I wish we could have time off from everything. And I guess that's what this is sort of provided. So I think, yeah, I guess that's surviving this time, which in a sense is succeeding it as well. I think it's been very mentally challenging for a lot of people, and obviously physically challenging as well if you've encountered the virus. But I think just to get through this time, I think that's a success in itself. And just because you may not have achieved all these things and repainted your house or whatever, like a lot of people have been doing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think just getting through this time is a success in itself.
A great answer, Mikey. And as you say, that I just took me back, a few months ago when I had the opportunity because of the lockdown to do a lot of work, in my garden. Yeah, so I think there are some definitely good points. And as Kate said earlier, you're not here to say like, yeah, just good things happen. Of course, no. I think overall is not a good time for none of us. It's been a really tough time, a really sad time for a lot of people. But yeah, I think there are some good points and take some opportunities, as we are going through this season. But Kate, over to you.
Yeah, I think Mike, you summed it up really well there. I think I am definitely one of those people who kind of measures my success on how much I've done. I'm a very busy person. I'm a busy mum. I work full time. I do a lot with the church. And I think lockdown for me, it was going to be about success. I was going to smash this lockdown. I had my timetable. I color coded it. The kids knew what they were doing. We'd bought loads of stuff ready to do our garden. We were going to be on it. I'd even bought my sourdough starter, it was all there. I was organized. I was going to be successful. And that was my plan. And all of a sudden, I think lockdown began, and a couple of days in, I was like, this is not going to plan. I think my success changed. Just getting to the end of the day without crying or screaming at one of the kids was a success in itself. And yeah, I realized that actually surviving was my success, and the tick charts and all those other things kind of didn't really matter. And I think I really struggled in a way in this time, because I felt I lost my identity. I think I put my identity a lot in my job and in my roles that I play within the church, and all of a sudden they were all taken away, and I really struggled with that. And I think I had to recreate a new identity, and God did a lot of work in me in that time, in kind of revealing how he could use me and what he wanted me to be successful in. And yeah, that was very different to my original thoughts. So for me, just surviving that lockdown period was a success in itself, like Mikey said. And yeah, a lot of work done through that time on my personal identity and rediscovering who I was in Christ.
Great answer, Kate. Great answer. Guys, once again, you've been fantastic. Spot on. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you have time, we're going to see you guys later on with another question. Thank you so much for now. I just want to give a shout out to Eleanor. Ellie, great to have you with us this evening. Also to Carol, Maria, Connie, Lane, and Philip. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in with us and being with us this evening. We really appreciate your support. Please leave your comments and why not a question, so we can, if you have time, you're going to be able to have a bit of more discussion in here. We do have another question, and I want to invite Kelvin and Chloe, please, back again. And it's a very I'll say personal question, could be. And here's the question, guys. What difference has your faith made to you in this time? Yeah. What difference has your faith made to you, going throughout this time? Is that put you closer to God or put you a bit further away from God? How was it? So if we start with you, Chloe, first, please.
Okay. Yeah, definitely has brought me closer to God. I think before lockdown, I was really struggling with making myself busy and not having my priorities right. Probably making excuses for, I can't read my Bible right now, I'm gonna go do this. And so when I had literally nothing else to do, I was really enjoying reading my Bible, and I've still really been enjoying reading my Bible every day and spend time with God. So I really enjoyed that. And one of the Bible verses that have really stuck out to me is from Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope." And growing up in a church, that's a Bible verse that's always chucked around. But I don't think I really appreciated it as much as I do now. Just talking about how God has a plan for us, and that really gives me comfort during this time to know that I have a father that loves me and loves me so much that he has a plan for my life. And even though it might be difficult to see that plan right now, he's definitely got a plan for me. So I found it really comforting and helpful. And actually, I think if I didn't have a faith and if I didn't believe in Jesus, I think I would have struggled mentally very, very much during this time.
Absolutely, Chloe. Thank you for sharing. Kelvin.
A great question, and it's a privilege to be able to try to answer that question. For me, like many others, I suppose, the pandemic came as a bolt from the blue. There I was sitting in my office quite late in the evening with a number of colleagues, and we turned on to the news to see the Boris Johnson news conference when effectively we were thinking probably, look, there are probably perhaps 100 cases or something in the UK in total, if that, and we were waiting to see what was going to happen and what was this news conference about. And suddenly 8 to 10,000, I think, cases is what they said, and suddenly in that moment you realize that we were facing together something that was unprecedented, and all sorts of things go through your mind. Perhaps some of those earlier questions, where is God in all of this? What does it all mean? How will we survive it? And I suppose that there was a lot of fear, kind of personal fear about your family. What about my elderly parents? What about my sister who suffers from MS and is clearly in a very vulnerable category? And I think all of these things kind of go through your mind, and after the initial shock has sort of set in, you begin to try to rationalize it and contextualize it in terms of your own worldview. My worldview is that there's a God who is in control, and for me, one of the most comforting passages in the scripture is, and I'll try to read it out, I certainly won't remember it, in Psalm 139 verses 1 to 4. It says, "O Lord, you've searched me and you know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down, are acquainted with all my ways, even before a word is on my tongue. Behold, O Lord, you know it altogether." And for me, that just reminds me that God knows everything about me. He knows what I'm going through, what I'm thinking about, what's causing me to fear. Certainly in those early days, you begin to think, well, have I been exposed to this? Is it, am I a danger to other people? I'd certainly back at those times, lots of things that we didn't know. We know an awful lot more now. Not long after the Boris announcement, I went to Twickenham with my eldest son Sam. We were told, weren't we, that there's nothing to worry about with big sporting events. That's all fine. You can just go ahead and go to them. And yet afterwards, in the kind of your kind of quieter moments, you think, actually, I was just in a huge stadium full of people, and now they're telling us how dangerous this thing is, and you could probably lose it, couldn't you? If there was just a chance that you just sit down and become overwhelmed with the danger that was around us, and is still with us. But yet, God knows how you're feeling. He knows, as I've just read, he knows everything about us, and is walking through this with us. And I suppose the alternative, where would I be without God? If I did not have God, it would be a very nihilistic view on life, perhaps an existentialist view on life. That actually, without, if you have no God, you have no hope, would be my take on that. And so it's not my faith as such; it's who I have faith in that has got me through all of this, and with the help of family and friends as well, as we faced all of these things together.
Absolutely, Kelvin. Our time is going, guys. I just want to invite everyone back again with us, Mikey and Alan and Kate. And just before I ask you guys one last question, I just want to give Lynn just left a comment in here, Kate, saying that she really relates to your answer about your identity that you answered earlier. So she said really related to that. Also, Chloe, we had a comment from Sophie and Josh saying that I can totally relate, Chloe. Life is so busy. There's always an excuse, but lockdown has been a good chance for us to slow down a bit, and give more time to God. So thank you, Sophie and Josh. We just had Claire as well join us, Claire Christian and Jess Hills as well with us. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. And a very special shout to my beautiful wife, Roshin. She's live as well. So thank you, lovely, for being there and for your support. God bless you. So guys, we have a last question, very quick because of our time. But it's not really a question, really. It's basically, what would be like a one thought, literally one thought you'd like to leave to everyone that would help them, through this season? What could you say with your, last words from you guys this evening? What could you say to the people out there watching us and listening to us right now that would keep them going, keep things going? Shall we start with Kate, please?
Yeah, okay, thanks, Rev. I think for me, it would be to cultivate a thankful heart. I think reflect on what you have rather than what you've lost. And I think if we do that on a daily basis, it's going to keep our minds positive, our words encouraging, and our hearts kind.
Beautiful, thank you very much. Alan?
I think for me, it's about celebrating what God has done for us and the goodness of God and the hope that he provides for us. So I've got a verse from Nehemiah, which has sort of been with me this last few weeks. Go and enjoy choice food and sweet drinks, and send some to those who have nothing prepared. This day is a sacred day to our Lord. Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And I think sometimes we almost have to physically force ourselves to stop looking down and look up, and to see the good things that God has done for us, as well as the challenging things that we face. And we are facing challenging things at the moment, but we also need to look up as well regularly to get things in perspective, really.
Great thought, Alan. Thank you so much. Mikey?
I think one thought would be remembering this is part of God's plan. God had a plan for all of us from day one, before the world was began, before any of this. God had a plan for each one of us individually, and he knew that the time he put us here, we would be living through this time. And so this time is going to be part of our story.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Chloe?
Well, Mikey stole my thoughts, so I think I was gonna say definitely like this is part of God's plan. And I would actually challenge people, whether you're a Christian or whether you're not a Christian, whether you're just here because you saw it pop up on Facebook, to actually learn more about this God that we're talking about, whether that's just praying, whether that's reading the Bible or watching a YouTube video. I'll challenge you to look into it more yourself, and I think you'd be surprised with what you find.
Absolutely, Chloe, absolutely. Ask him and he will reveal himself in a way that you will understand. Kelvin, please.
One thought, just to remind ourselves that in the words of the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, he is our shepherd, and not was our shepherd. Oh, that's true, but is in the present day and will continue to be as we walk through this together.
Thank you guys ever so much. I just like to share as well very quick. I think my thought will be, there is a book in the Bible, Isaiah 40, and literally says, there's a part in there that says, all of us will get tired and weary and want, fed up and wanting to give up, but says that those who trust in him and hope in him, he will come and renew their strength and help them to run and never get tired. So I think that would be my thought, that, why not, as Chloe just said, ask God for yourself, and he would reveal himself in a way that you can understand, that he can be your strength during this time. And finally, guys, before we actually go, we just want to advertise, because we do have another date that we're going to be going live once again. December the 9th, we are going to have a Christmas discussion. What's Christmas all about? What's the real story about Christmas? So December the 9th, please join us once again live. We'd love to have your support, and we'd love to have you here with us. Thank you everyone ever so much. Have a blessed week and see you next time. God bless you all. Bye bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye all.